And I want to talk about Tennessee's, it's called HJR 182. And it feels like, on its surface, just another sort of culture war, symbolic anti-pride proclamation. But you argue that it's actually a blueprint. So I'm going to put this up. What is the move? First of all, it starts, whereas the nuclear family, consisting of one husband, one wife, and any biological, adopted, or foster children, is God's design. By the way, this is a state proclamation for familial structure and has been the bedrock of society since the creation of the world. This is a government document.
Which is Genesis, which is what I was just talking about, creation of the world. Yeah.
Yep. So, look, this isn't just some culture war thing. What's really going on here? And talk about what this is actually declaring.
The state of Tennessee proposed this joint resolution, and Bill Lee signed it a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, declaring that the month of June will be Nuclear Family Month in the state of Tennessee, not Pride Month. So celebrating Pride in the state of Tennessee, while individual people may do it, the state will be celebrating Nuclear Family Month. And so they use the Project 2025 Heritage Foundation terms. One man and one woman are a nuclear family with children, either had, adopted, or fostered. So they use that definition, which the Heritage Foundation then carried over into their Project 2026 is what I'm calling it, which the biggest part of that is Saving America by Saving the Family,
right,
which I have covered extensively on my Substack as well.
A lot about it on the show as well.
Yeah. So, that is where this comes from. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone at the Heritage Foundation or Alliance Defending Freedom or some such wrote this proclamation for them. That's how these groups work. So that is the proclamation. And a lot of LGBTQ groups covered this as an attack on that community and the trans community. And of course it is. But the biggest part of this proclamation is 11 lines devoted to fatherlessness.
Yeah, all these stats and just wild claims, and you traced all of that back to the America First Policy Institute, right?
Well, the America First Policy Institute is a partner with the Heritage Foundation. They contributed to Project 2025. They are another far-right, billionaire white Christian nationalist funded think tank. And so, when a group like that uses stats, they either pull them from a government website, which today is, the Heritage Foundation.
Oh my God,
and those groups are probably building those.
Government website.
Right. Either the National Institutes of Health they used a shooter website for Dr. Peter Langman, who has studied mass shootings, and how they present his findings in this document is very deceptive. Right. Compared to what he actually says about school shootings. He actually attributes them to poverty, not fatherlessness, like they conclude. So, but they don't give you a site for anything. So I went on and found that document and linked to it so that people could check these stats themselves if they want to, because they never give you stats like where this came from, because they're misrepresenting them. Of
course.
So when you see stats listed in a document like this, you always have to say, because of who put it together, they're misrepresenting them. So, but the point of all of those stats was to talk about the blight of fatherlessness.
Yes.
And, you could make the argument that, well, gee, wow, then they should be delighted that two men are married and in a loving relationship and have children, because more fathers,
so many fathers and so much testosterone in our water. That sounds like an amazing weekend to me.
But that's not the argument they make, because that, a marriage, a nuclear family is one man married to one unrelated woman with children. Yes. That's the only family.
I'll put that up again, just so you can see. We're not saying They are saying it.
Right. So, the whole paragraph that is you see it starting at the whereas fatherless families are 4 times more likely. That's the longest whereas in this document.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be attacking the LGBTQ community and the trans community and doing away with pride.
Right.
All of which are bad. I'm not diminishing those things. But in my work this week, I wanted to point out how the president coming out and saying that the shooter at the White House press event was anti-Christian is an NSPM 7 dog whistle.
Yes.
For all of these things in NSPM 7 that they are going to try to attack as, dissent that is domestic terror. And so they're trying to set out this framing of fatherlessness, in my view, to outlaw divorce. It is really an attack on women. They're not saying women can't be effective mothers on their own. They're saying fatherlessness is a problem. They hide all of the attacks on women behind the term fatherlessness and not having fathers. It's a dog whistle. But if you don't know that about this crowd, you don't see it.
Yep.
In a document like this.
And